Okay, I thought.
All right. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Commission on Police Practices regular business meeting for Wednesday, November 5, 2025. We have an agenda, so what do we need to do? Where's my agenda? What should I do with my agenda? That's your fault, bud. All right, we are called to order. Public comment instruction. So we have what they call the chair's opening remarks, kind of gives it an idea of how we run the meeting and why. It has been getting longer and longer, so please bear with. The Commission on Police Practices is an independent community oversight body for the San Diego Police Department. We have investigatory, review, and auditing authority. Our mission is to hold law enforcement accountable to communities and to build trust, which improves safety for the public and for officers. The CPP is made up of 25 community volunteers, our commissioners, who bring diverse perspectives from many backgrounds, experiences, and neighborhoods. Although Measure B granted the CPP investigative powers, the city is still in the state mandated meet and confer process with the Police Officers Association. Until that process concludes, the CPP cannot conduct its own investigations and must rely on information provided by SDPD Internal Affairs. We therefore cannot make independent factual findings or glean investigation outcomes. Commissioners cannot comment on or address specific complaints during regular business meetings. To file a complaint, please contact CPP staff directly. That's all those folks over there on that side of the room. We want everyone to be able to participate in regular business meetings without a closed session. Non-agenda public comment is available for up to 3 minutes per speaker, either at the beginning or at the end of the meeting, but not both. If there is a closed session, non-agenda public comment is available only at the beginning. We have made an adjustment to that. So they'll be at the beginning of the meeting and before we go into closed session. There still will be two non-agenda public comment opportunities. Under the Brown Act, California's open meetings law, the commission cannot discuss or act on items that are not on the agenda. We may briefly respond or refer matters to staff. If you are joining us in person, please complete a speaker slip, indicate the item you wish to address, and submit it to staff before the public comment period for that item begins. If you are joining virtually, please use the raise hand feature in Microsoft Teams during the appropriate public comment section. For questions about public comment procedures, please speak to our community engagement coordinator, Ms. Obi, which is that lady right at the end on this side. Speakers may not give their time to others. If 8 or more speakers address a single issue, the total time for that issue will be capped at 60 minutes. Speaking order is generally first come, first serve. Non-agenda public comment covers matters that are not listed on today's agenda or reports under non-agenda. Non-agenda public comment covers matters that are not listed on today's agenda or on reports under non-agendas. Members of the public may also comment on new business or discussion items. Please keep comments relevant to the specific item at hand. If comments are not relevant, you may be asked to conclude. Public comment on agenda items will generally follow any presentation and will occur before commissioner discussion. We welcome all viewpoints and encourage open participation. To make sure everyone is heard, we can complete our work. Please respect time limits and refrain from disruptive behavior. Continued disruption after a warning may result in removal as allowed by state law. Finally, I remind commissioners, staff, and members of the public to speak directly into the microphones so that participants joining virtually can hear clearly. Thank you for your participation and engagement. And with that, let us go into roll call.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, sorry, I can barely hear that. All right, let's see here. Okay, so Chair Ada Rodriguez is excused. First Vice Chair Bonnie Benitez is excused. Second Vice Chair Clovis Honore. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I can. Second Vice Chair Clovis Honore.
I'm sorry, I was talking to the executive director and not listening. Say again, please.
Oh, just if you're here.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Armentrout is excused. Commissioner Byer. Thank you. Commissioner Burton. Thank you. Commissioner Canson is not here yet. Commissioner Pace. Thank you. Commissioner Kowski is excused. see. Commissioner Diaz? Here. Thank you. Commissioner Flores? Not here yet. Commissioner Harvey? Not here yet. Commissioner Enpine? Thank you. Commissioner Lawton? Thank you. Commissioner Major is not here yet. Commissioner Mohat? Thank you. Commissioner Robinson? Thank you. Commissioner Torres? Thank you. Commissioner Ricard? Not here yet? Okay. Commissioner Nin?
Here.
Thank you. And Commissioner Steiner?
Here.
Thank you. Did I say that right? Yes, okay, Steiner. Okay, thank you. That concludes roll call.
All right, yes, so we have concluded roll call. We do have a quorum present. Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes both at the same time? All right, so we can do that after we get the motions, okay? We get a motion, we get a second, then we have discussion, so that can change. Can we do both at the same time or can we do one at a time? Let's do both at the same time. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for October 1st and October 15th, 2025? Unfortunately, parliament procedure doesn't allow me to do that, but if we make the motion and we get a second, then you get to speak first to the motion. It's been moved by, Commissioner Dr. Mount, you like Dr. Mount, what is this now? Momat, by Commissioner Momat, is there a second? The second, I'll let the case happen. Second, discussion, Commissioner Momat. Pardon? Oh, microphone, please.
Well, so on the October 1st, I just want to make sure I have. Yes, on the first minutes, under non-agenda public comment, 3 times Christopher DeArmond is mentioned and DeArmond is spelled wrong. That could be changed, please. And then on the new business, a commissioner mentorship program, there's some comments by Tasha Williamson, and then there's some weird stuff about implementation that I don't think are part of her comments. I think they're in the wrong spot. Otherwise, it looked fine to me.
Any further comments or discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, has been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from the regular business meetings for October 1 and October 15th. All those in favor, please raise your hand. You get the count, are they high enough for you to see them all?
Yes.
All those opposed, please raise your hands. Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda. So I ain't got no reports. So non-agenda items are listed under public notices as a matter of public record only. These items do not require commission action and there is no public testimony. The first item is the chair report. Did she leave me a report? I didn't think so. It says none, table so. Next item on the agenda is rules committee. Commissioner Benitez is not with us tonight. Is someone else making that, committee presentation? Commissioner Law. Wait a minute, Commissioner Law or Commissioner? Who's making the presentation? Commissioner Law. So we don't have the rules committee, the information coming from the rules committee is already on the agenda. Community outreach committee, Commissioner Byer.
Thank you. The committee last met on October 23rd. Our next meeting is November 12th, 6:30 p.m. at the mention on police practices offices. Everyone is invited and welcome. What we discussed in the last meeting was the community roundtable, which is set for Monday, December 8th, 2025, from 5:30 to 7:30 at the MFA Library. We are encouraging all commissioners to show up for that, anybody who wants to. And we are organizing that roundtable. That's our primary focus right now. We set up a ad hoc committee of the community engagement coordinator, as well as Commissioner Flores, community engagement coordinator, and Commissioner Flores, who are working out details. In addition, we are working on many things I'm not going to go into, but one of the things of note is that we're going to upgrade our photo on our website. That's again out of date. So hopefully the next regular meeting, we can get all of us a new photo. And that's that's all the exciting bits. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Byer. Policy Committee, Commissioner Robinson.
Hello? Okay. Policy Committee met on October 23rd on the fourth Thursday at 5. So every fourth Thursday at 5 p.m. We discussed the change to our policy conference due to our presenters. We have to get all the contracts and everything done. We're not quite done with that, but I am definitely excited to come to our policy conference. And I also think that we're right on time simply because there will be the community roundtable, and we'll be able to get as much input to support our conference. It's definitely important to get as much feedback from the community as we strategize for the next year. And it's also giving us a little more time to do research for the policy conference. We have decided what our first forum will be for the community, which will follow after the conference, and that will be pretext stops. And we are not meeting until January 22nd, which will be our next meeting. And in that time, we will research for pretext stops and also medical and mental health. And we also discussed the NACO conference, which was absolutely necessary for me to continue and make sure that I do the best job as chair for the policy. And I would like to discuss it a lot further, but there's so much that I learned at the NACO conference that I'm hoping that we can find a way to have time in the future to discuss it in better detail. And I'm thinking that is concluding my report.
Thank you. Recruitment Committee, Commissioner Duckcase.
Yes, Dean and I had a very productive meeting today with Council President Joe LaCava's staff to talk about the city's process for electing new commissioners and how we can integrate that into our nomination process for commissioners, which we're developing. And so speaking of which, we're having a committee meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m. at the CPC office to discuss that. And we'll have more to report next month.
You, Commissioner Case. For the record and for the public and for those present, the meetings, their agendas, their minutes, and the videos of those meetings are all posted on the Commission on Police Practices website. So if you missed something or you want additional information, go there and get that information. All right, next item is the interim executive director. Oh, I'm sorry, Training and Continuing Education Committee. Thank you. Commissioner Momack.
Okay, at our last meeting, we got an update on onboarding. The new commissioners have received some training, well, the round before this round, and then the next, you new folks will get more. So that's moving along. And that information has been posted in SuccessFactors. So anybody who has missed training or wants a refresher can get that. So just let us know if you want to be able to access that. Staff regarding case review, staff is working on finalizing and implementing the training academies that have been previously approved by this body. And the first round is going to be case overview. It's geared towards the newest commissioners that haven't had a chance to dig in quite yet. Other topics that we're looking at are doing training on the police officer bill of rights, the reporting requirements that we have, as well as, so those will be hopefully trainings that'll happen during commission meetings. And then to give us a little bit of background on POST, the RICO, which is regarding race, and the CLEAR Acts, we're putting together one-page summaries rather than having a formal training on that, to fill in the gaps with our knowledge there. And we wanted to do a community bus tour. The community organizations that have done that in the past are really strapped for resources right now. So we thought a way to fill in that gap would be to have community groups come and do a presentation at one of our meetings so we can learn about what they do related to policing. So that's the community engagement coordinators working on that. And on this coming Saturday, the San Diego PD has an event called Inside SDPD. That may be something that might be helpful for us. So a couple commissioners are going to that, some staff are going to that to see if that's something we want to recommend, and then we'll get back to you on that. And we're still waiting to hear from San Diego PD on the vehicle pursuit training that the officers get and what kind of background we want to learn from there. And our next meeting is December 11th at 5 p.m. at the CPP offices. And anyone interested in joining our committee, we'd love to have you.
Is there something else? I do have a question. Sorry, was there additional? Okay. Success Factor. Is the information on Success Factor accessible to the public, or is that exclusively for commissioners? And why?
So Success Factors is only for commissioners. It's not for the public.
And so my response to that was, how does the public get access to the information that is being shared with commissioners as to what our roles and responsibilities are if they can't access that information there?
The training sessions, when they happen, were they posted on our, because that's not considered a public meeting. Right. So we'll take that back and get back to you.
Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda, interim executive director report.
Thank you. As Commissioner Momack said, we just onboarded 3 new commissioners, which brings the commission up to 21 seated commissioners. We understand that there's another round going. So we're almost reaching the full seated capacity of 25. Tonight, we have the pleasure of having 2 of our new commissioners, Commissioner Center and Commissioner Knipp, here with us for the first meeting. And if each of you would like to just make a brief statement or introduce yourself, you're welcome to do so.
Can you read? Welcome. Hi, everyone. My name is Kirby Knipp. I'm a North Park resident, and I work at the UC San Diego School of Medicine. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm sure I'll have a lot of questions soon as the meeting and I get to know you all. But thank you all so much for having me.
Greetings. Hi, everybody. My name is Jay Sainer. It's Walter Jordan Sainer the fourth. That's why I go by Jay, because there, up until recently, were three of us alive. Got confused in family events. I live in Del Cerro and represent District 7. And I'm a real estate agent by day and volunteer by night.
Next item on the agenda, Chief of Staff / Policy Report out. Mr. Aaron Burgess is not present. Is there anyone making that possession? No report. Okay, well, which brings us to non-agenda public comment. No, if I'm supposed to make some kind of speech, you're gonna make the speech, right? Okay.
Thank you, Chair. The speech would be on the screen for everyone to see, so no speech being made. If you're for. Left, there we go. We have one non-agenda. Miss Francine Maxwell.
Oh my gosh, time. Sorry. Okay.
Francine Maxwell, Southeastern San Diego resident. I want to thank all the commissioners for being a commissioner, taking time out of your time, just sharing. I want to make sure that the commissioners will have a discussion in reference to Los Angeles oversight. A 2-page policy subpoena to change their subpoenas. They've been in meet and confer for 3 years. And so the organizers in Los Angeles are going to put some public pressure. We may need some public pressure on our Measure B because SDPD, POA, they plain. Want to make sure that the commissioners know that you fall under the boards and commissions roles and rules and responsibilities that the city council voted on. NACO didn't do us well. I'm hoping that everybody had a good time, but the rumors that I received from my friends that were there from Phoenix, my friends that are in oversight from other states, that there was quite a few talking about San Diego, and it wasn't in a positive light, and it should have been. I'm hoping that those that are in the hiring aspect, that you don't get excited because a board member of NACO made it to our finalists. That person has never had managerial, no supervisory. He's never done it. So there's no way that he should have been able to make it to a finalist. So I bring this to your attention because as an active public member, if I can get the information at a NACO conference of who our finalists are, I just want to show you how easy it is because oversight is a small, small world. And I'm concerned because we want somebody with supervisory experience and managerial experience. We have some things that are coming up that are vital to our city to begin to build trust. Again, please have a comment. We may talk about it at our outreach meeting that you guys are having for the community, but I just wanted to let you know that if you start something, the community can finish it, or if you want us to start something, but it's time to put some pressure because Measure B is not on the shelf as far as we're concerned. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. This concludes in-person non-agenda public comment. We have virtual attendees who would like to speak. If you're joining us, please raise your hand now using the raise hand feature on the Zoom. I'll go ahead with the person who's logged on as unknown user. Please unmute. Unmute and introduce yourself.
It's okay, Esther.
Unknown user, please unmute and introduce yourself. They may be experiencing technical.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay.
Please proceed. Can you please introduce yourself? And,
Yes,
you have 3 minutes.
1 second.
Okay.
1 second.
thank
One
you.
second.
Good.
Where's the one thing at?
Are you speaking, sir?
Good. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry. 1 second.
1 moment.
This one? It was off, right?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
It's yeah. Go ahead and try speaking.
Go ahead.
Good evening, can you hear me?
We're still working out, some technical difficulties. Can we come back?
Why don't you try to hire this and then
He's not speaking from you, he's speaking from the.
right, but the speaker is coming out from there. The top.
Oh my God.
Sorry. I think this is probably this. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. What happened with just oh, okay, hold on. Transfer. Sorry. What, is it on still?
Try.
No, yeah, that's gonna
Can
have
you
to be.
try again?
It's too close. I have to use this one. I'm sorry. This is the only one that won't do that too.
It's like we have a little bit of technical difficulty here in the virtual. If we can come back, that would be helpful.
Jasmine?
Move on. If you can hear me, speaker, unknown user, we will have a second opportunity for a non-agenda public comment at the end of the regular meeting before we go into closed session. So please hang in there with us. We'll see what we can do. We'll try to get you on.
Okay.
Okay, with that, next item, we still working on it, or is he still on, or are we gonna move forward?
He's still on. I was just gonna connect a different speaker to make it easier.
We need some time.
It's maybe like a minute, 2 minutes.
I'll do it. So we have a couple of presentations coming up. The first one is the city auditor's office on the city auditor's function and the process it has, and function and process as it relates to auditing the San Diego Police Department. We have, is it Carissa Nash? Are you Carissa Nash? That is not, okay, that's what's on the agenda. So, are they doing, make a different introduction, or you guys gonna introduce yourselves?
Oh,
You do need a microphone, absolutely.
hold on one.
Hopefully that will function.
How's that? I don't. Can we wait 2 seconds?
Everyone, my name is Andy Hanna. I'm the city auditor for the city of San Diego. My name is Andy Hanna. I'm the city auditor for the city of San Diego. I've got several members of my team here with me today. Assistant City Auditor Matt Helm, Principal Performance Auditor Carissa Nash, and Performance Auditor Jeff Keel. So just wanted to thank you all for having us this evening, and thank you all for your service on the commission. It's super important work with the commission. I recognize several of you always been really helpful. So today we're here to get input from the commission as well as any members of the public. Sorry about that. So today we're here to get input from the commission as well as any members of the public that are interested in commenting on our current performance audit of SDPD's officer misconduct investigations, and that's an audit we have in process. But first we want to kind of explain who we are, what we do, give you some examples of our recent SDPD audits, and talk about how our work relates to the work of the CDP. And yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to get a quick show of hands, but just to see how many of you all are familiar with our office, have ever looked at any of our reports, and yeah, cool, good number. Well, just to give you kind of the 10,000 foot view here on the screen, somewhat like the commission, we're an independent office of the city. We report to the audit committee, We do not report to the mayor or to the city council. And so like the commission, that independence allows us to conduct our work independently without political influence. And how we do that is we evaluate city operations by conducting performance audits that make recommendations to improve the efficiency, effectiveness, equity, and transparency of city government, including programs within the police department, like internal affairs that we're currently auditing. We also oversee the city's fraud, waste, abuse hotline, and we conduct investigations into allegations of fraud, waste, and abuse. So happy to answer any questions about that as we with that, I'll turn it over to Carissa to go over some of our recent audits of SDP.
Thanks, Andy. Did we get it?
Yeah, it's not working, but
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I'll stand.
Thanks, Andy. I'm Carissa Nash, and I'm a principal performance auditor with the office. I think the best way to explain our work is to talk through some recent examples. Okay, it's working.
Perfect.
Can we skip to slide 5, please?
Yes, we can.
Thanks.
Tell me which one slide 5 is, because I can't see the screen. There.
In 2024, we looked at SDPD's use of overtime. We found that a small number of officers were taking on extremely high levels of overtime. A few even logged more than 2,000 hours of overtime in a single year. To put that in perspective, that's almost 90 hours of total work per week, every week of the year. That level of overtime is concerning because it raises real risks of fatigue, burnout, and safety issues. To address these concerns, we recommended that SDPD limit the total number of hours officers can work in a day or week, prioritize overtime based on need, and require officers to take at least an 8-hour break between shifts. SDPD agreed to implement our recommendations. Although many of the recommendations are still going through the meet and confer process before they're implemented, SDPD reported that our recommendations to prioritize overtime and centralize it have saved nearly $1 million so far this fiscal year. You can find the whole report on that link on the screen. The next report I'll talk about is in 2022. We focused on another area crucial for accountability. You get the next slide, please. Body-worn cameras. Our audit found that 40% of officers dispatched potential enforcement encounters did not record a video as required. That indicated that a large number of officers were not turning on their body-worn cameras when they were supposed to. To address this, we recommended that SDPD strengthen its policy so that officers are required to record all dispatch calls for service. We also recommended that the department provide clear guidance to the public about which videos it releases and under what circumstances. SDPD agreed to implement all of our recommendations for this report as well. So building on those prior audits, sorry, we're solving slideshow issues. Building on those prior audits, we are now turning our attention to police department's internal affairs unit and its investigations of police misconduct. The objective of our current audit is to determine whether misconduct investigations are fair, thorough, and aligned with laws and best practices. We're looking at the discipline outcomes that resulted from those misconduct investigations as well. We anticipate publishing our final report in the fall of 2026. Our audit will take several steps to determine if misconduct investigations and the disciplinary outcomes are fair, are thorough, follow city policies and procedures, and are aligned with laws and best practices. First, we will review a sample of internal affairs investigation files and complaints, looking at whether complaints are categorized correctly and looking at the content of the investigations themselves. Second, we will review SDPD's policies and procedures. For example, we will look at how informal complaint resolutions are handled and whether those practices align with best practices. Third, we'll compare SDPD's practices with those of other large cities, like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Jose. This comparison helps us understand how SDPD operates differently from other departments, and if other departments have practices that could work well here. We know that the Commission recently issued a report on misconduct investigations and made several recommendations to SDPD for improvements in this area. Our goal is not to duplicate the work you guys have already done, but to build on that work by also looking at the discipline associated with misconduct investigations. Our work will also look at internal investigations, complaints closed as miscellaneous, and complaints resolved informally. The reason we're here today is that another essential part of our work is getting input from stakeholders. To fully understand the impact of police misconduct and police misconduct investigations, we will need to talk to people outside of the police department, like people who've had direct experience with SDPD and complaints about misconduct. We want to broadly understand if residents feel their complaints were investigated fairly and completely, and if people trust that SDPD will hold officers accountable when misconduct occurs. I'll hand it over to Jeff, who will explain more about how your input fits into our work.
Carissa. I'm Jeff Steele, the lead auditor in this project. As Carissa mentioned, listening to stakeholders is a critical part of this audit, and that's why we're here today. We want to hear from the commissioners and members of the public about your perceptions of how SDPD handles misconduct complaints. Do you feel complaints are taken seriously? Do you believe that investigations are fair and complete? And how your experiences with complaints and misconduct investigations affect your overall trust in the department? We won't be discussing the details of individual cases in our report, but the themes and perspectives you share with us will be very helpful. So how do we use this input? We look for common patterns and themes across all the feedback we receive, whether it's from residents, oversight bodies like this one, or community groups. These themes provide direction for our audit work, helping us decide which areas need the most attention. They also help us explain why high quality, fair investigations matter so much for maintaining public trust. It's also important to clarify what our office does not do. We do not investigate or resolve individual misconduct cases, and we do not all feedback we receive is aggregated. We do not include names or tie comments to individuals in our reports. Instead, our role is to evaluate the overall systems in place, policies, processes, and whether outcomes are consistent and fair. By focusing on the bigger picture, we can recommend improvements that make the system more effective for everyone. Finally, we touch on questions. We're glad to answer your questions today about our audit objectives, our process, and how your input will inform our work. Consistent with our audit standards, we cannot share draft findings or preliminary recommendations with you now. Those remain confidential until the report is published. Once the audit is complete, which we expect in fall 2026, we'll present it publicly. And at that point, we'll be able to share our findings or recommendations and the evidence behind them. So for today, our focus is on hearing your input and answering your questions about the audit process. I'll hand it over to Matt to talk about contacting us and set the stage for discussion.
Thanks. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. Thanks for helping us, by the way. Good evening, everyone. Matt Helm, I'm Assistant City Auditor. I wanted to add my thanks to Andy's. There's a lot of people in this room working for free tonight, and we appreciate that. We do a lot of work with the boards and commissions. We think they're all important, but I think the mission and vision of this group, definitely aligns with us, as I think you saw in the presentation. So, what we'll do, I think, as far as the run of show, if it pleases the chair, as far as I understand it, as soon as I shut up here, we'll take comments, and then we'll come back and we'd like to break it up into two parts. So we can take questions on the presentation. Happy to answer any more questions that you have about our office and about the audit in general. And then if you could go to the next slide, please. This is really kind of the meat and potatoes of what we'd like to get into. These are three very broad stroke topics. You guys, and there's probably lots of room to paint within the lines. So we'd just like to open it up to the public members and to the commission to get just your impressions on this. Now, this doesn't have to be the sum and substance of our dialogue. Our contact information is included in there. There may be things that you prefer to say to us outside of the meeting, and we're okay with that. And as Jeff said, we maintain a confidentiality in our reports. We don't affix names to the sentiments in there to individuals. So if that works for everybody, and we'll go in those two parts, and I will turn it back to the chair. That concludes our presentation. We'll be back up here at your disposal. Thanks.
We want to turn the lights up at this point so we can see everybody. Okay, so at this point, as is normal for our meetings, this would be a place for public comment. So if you have put in your slip for public comment on this item, we should have that information. If not, now is a good time to put that, public comment slip in, because we do want to hear from as many people as possible. And if Obi lead this. Yeah, this is formal public. Okay, well, if she's not here, then we'll just go ahead. I don't have a slip, but I'm assuming that we're all in order, so.
I put mine in.
Okay, so Ms. Tasha Williamson, you have 3 minutes. I don't know who's keeping track of the time. But do give your comments and, ask questions. I hope they're gonna take notes on the questions, because we only give you 3 minutes, so they're gonna have to have that information so they can respond.
So, I see the input from stakeholders. I do not feel that, the investigations are handled fairly, when I file complaints. I think they are retaliatory, when I file complaints. I've had a couple of complaints that have been, where you all, CPP, has said that you don't agree, with the internal affairs investigations, because they did not follow policy, procedure, or law. So I think that having sat as a support person for a long time with other members of the community, what I'm noticing is internal affairs is asking community members if they have criminal backgrounds. Those are some of the first questions they ask. Do you have a criminal background? And this is when engaged by police at stops. And what that is a hunt to penalize the person filing the complaint. Because if you have certain criminal backgrounds, like gun charges, there's laws that they can stop. At least they say that. And they use that. If you are a fourth waiver, there are reasons to stop you. However, there are laws in place that an officer cannot stop you just because you're a fourth waiver. And we have officers that are violating that law all the time. And so internal affairs, I feel, is biased. Many of those officers are corrupt themselves and have backgrounds where they should have never been allowed to promote, because it is a promotion to go to internal affairs, to promote to go to internal affairs. Sergeant Clay is one. I'll just throw him out there. He was in, you have the complaint, he was in there. He said he did not take Tasha Williamson's complaint serious. I'm a community member. And although he did that, and he said that, and I filed a complaint, I filed another complaint later on while he's in IA, and guess who gets my complaint? The sergeant that doesn't take Tasha Williamson's complaint serious. So how do I take internal affairs serious? And so that is why we have engaged not only internal affairs, but post-commission, because we realize that post-commission would decertify officers. Not only that, we are going to the civil grand jury, because when there is abuse of power and corruption, we know that the civil grand jury may take the case. We know that they have left you at bay with meet and confer, and so CPP does not have any teeth. And so even though you can ask for certain things and they may pass them as they did with yours, there are certain things where it's discipline of officers or other things that they're not going to do.
Next up, we have Francine Maxwell. You have 3 minutes.
Francine Maxwell, thank you for the presentation. Truly love this department. Concerned about the comparison with LA, San Francisco, and San Jose, because San Diego will come off looking at the top. As far as investigations, do we trust their discipline? Stephanie Cockrell goes to court tomorrow to see if she passed mental, to see if she can get her gun back. So let's remember that that was under David Neslight's watch, and it's on the hip of Chief Wall. As far as, there was one that you asked to comment on CPP, no. Perfect. Generally, do you feel complaints about police misconduct are investigated and handled fairly? No. Overall, do you feel like SDPD appropriately addresses misconduct when it arises? No. So we want to build trust with SDPD. but you have to hit where the rubber meets the road. And when you see your officers do something, when you see it, see something, say something, that also applies to the blue code of silence. So we have officers that have been interim captains, they're special operations unit, and you can't touch them because they're special operations unit. And so everybody is interim right now, promoting, so that when we get this next wave, because the drop program is real and the drop program is alive right now, and we're gonna lose some people that do wanna build a bridge to some other people that don't wanna build a bridge with the community. They wanna stay and let the mainstay be the mainstay. So there's a concern there. Like I said, comparing us to San Francisco and San Jose, I'm really concerned. Hope that there's an opportunity for you to look at Dallas, Texas, and maybe a couple of others, because again, San Diego compared to them is gonna come out smelling like a roses. And when this report comes, then everybody's gonna wanna pop their collar. We have 9 officers that have lawsuits against San Diego Police Department right now. So if they did internal investigations correctly, why would your officer who runs to danger, who is a first responder, now be suing you? My time.
Thank you. This concludes in-person public comment on this item. We're now moving to virtual. Virtually and would like to speak on presentation A. Please raise your hand now. We're gonna go with unknown user. Is unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
You have 3
Hello, can
minutes. Please proceed.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, please proceed.
Okay, I'll take that as a yes. This is Darwin Fishman, he, him, his, with the Racial Justice Coalition of San Diego. And I wanted to just add to what's been said and really put an exclamation mark on what Tasha said. Your audit's not going to capture what she just shared with you. If people go to other agencies like Post, that's not going to come up. If people don't trust, more fundamentally, if they don't trust the procedure, like what Francine and Tasha just said, you're not going to be able to capture that, because that by definition means that they didn't go through the police or CPP for their complaint. Not only is that an obvious point, but it was as obvious when I was on the CRB. We went to community meetings and people openly, especially youth and young adults, said to us they had not heard of the CRB, they didn't file complaints with us, and even if they did hear about us, they didn't trust us. So I think if you're going to get a true audit and really figure out what's going on, you have to find some way to capture that information. Otherwise, it's going to be misguided. One of the issues we had is whether or not complaints were going up or down. And if they were going down, if that meant that police policies and procedures were working and community relations were strengthening. The mistake, of course, is that what could be happening is you're just not capturing the complaints and people are not sharing them, not publicly processing them. The other thing I wanted to say, last point about this, the audit of doing this type of audit is also really dangerous if it's not put in proper context. If you do this audit and you confirm, as Francine's suggesting, that San Diego's doing really well, then it begs the question, why measure G and maybe not not have it implemented anyway at all, that it's not necessary, because what the voters voted on is still not there. It's not an investigative unit. So this seems really strange to me. And again, I'm not sure how this can be captured in the audit, but if it's not, then you run the risk of saying that this current status quo now is not only acceptable, but that's a high standard. So I hope that in response in this dialogue, especially CPP members, board members, that you pick up on this and ask these questions and really follow through. Otherwise, this could be a complete disaster and set you guys back even more. Thank you.
While we have unknown user on the line, can we, at this point, in case we have a risk of losing, can we put him back on for his non-agenda public comment now so we don't run the risk of losing him or, can we do that?
Darwin, if you can please go ahead and give us your non-agenda public comment at this time.
It's okay. The comment I share now is enough, is sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Patricia DeArmond. Please unmute. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Patricia DeArmond. My brother was Christopher DeArmond, who was killed by San Diego Police Department January 20th, 2023. I'm here to say no, I don't believe SCPD is doing a thorough job in their internal affairs, are doing honest work. I had to learn the hard way. I always believed in police officers keeping people safe until my brother was brutally murdered, and no officers were found of any wrongdoing from any department, according to SCPD Internal Affairs. Sergeant McCool from SCPD Internal Affairs told me while he interviewed me on the phone and said the canine was not shown to the public because it was not a part of the shooting. Well, then what was it? Everything that happened to my brother that night after he was shot was part of the shooting. The failure to render aid, allowing him to bleed out after he was shot at 28 times, some of which included non-department issued hollow point ammunition from Officer Jacob Myers, and K9 11 minutes after he was shot. His body was also held down to the ground even as SCPD knew he still had a pulse, and they refused medical aid twice. All of our evidence that we've collected is on the SCPD website. There are so many discrepancies in the reports. The interviews are done voluntarily with agreed upon questions tailored to the sheriffs, and none of it applied to the police. And the redactions, the discrepancies, I mean, the number of penetrating bullet holes don't even match the sheriff's reports to the medical examiner's reports. The officer sergeant, Rene Murillo, failing to intervene. Christopher Aguilar telling my brother your word means nothing. Myers with this hollow point, how is no officer found of any wrongdoing? And why did a commissioner tell me that this letter I received, Internal Affairs 2024-0503, did not belong to my case? I never received a findings letter after this. It just says no misconduct by any department members. No, these investigations are not honest. No, they're not doing a good job. No, we don't trust them. And we had to learn the hard way. I have a newfound disbelief in the justice system. It failed my family, it failed my brother, and it continues to fail many other families. You guys really need to do an audit on them because they are not transparent. They are not following proper policies and protocols. And if they are, those policies and protocols need to be changed. Testing for compliance using K9 after the victim's been shot,
Thank you, Patricia.
unacceptable.
I will go ahead and mute you now. This concludes public comment on this item.
Did you want to respond to some of that now, or do you want to hear from the commissioners first?
We can proceed however you like. We're happy to take questions on our presentation. We're happy to, we have an opportunity to jump back to slide 14, maybe leave the questions up on the screen. Sir, if you'd like to proceed that way, that's fine. We're here. We're yours.
Okay, let's go ahead and let the commissioners who have questions and comments. And this is going to help me keep track. Yeah, he's going up real fast. First comment I saw was Commissioner Torres, and then Commissioner Case, Commissioner Flores, Commissioner Momat, and Commissioner Robertson. Somebody keep track of all that.
Hi, thank you all for coming and love the work that you all are doing. Just a couple of questions that I think, for me, for the behavior, the things that report to me is kind of follow through from the work that we're doing. I'm seeing there is an overtime report of 2024 and the STPD use and management of body-worn cameras. Have you since, for the body cameras, has there been a new audit to know what is the percentage of usage where they should be now? And same or similar question for the overtime usage.
Sure. I think I can address that broadly, and then my boss can snatch the mic away from me. So we do follow up on each recommendation that we make. We have no ability to enforce our recommendations. So we present to the audit committee, we present to council, and that's really where the teeth lies. But twice a year, we follow up on every single recommendation. So we circle back with the department. In their responses to our audits, we get about 98% agreement with their recommendations, which is actually very high, but because we spent a lot of time getting yes with the department. So when they agree and then they give us a target time frame, they miss that time frame, they have to come back to the committee, to the audit committee, and then report out on why it's late, what the critical path is, what the next steps are. So we do that with each audit. Carissa can probably speak to if you want the specifics on where we are with the body cameras. I think there's been progress on both, but I think Carissa can help.
Sure, Carissa Nash, again, they're being confirmed. So it requires policy changes, right? Because they're pretty substantial, and they've been meeting concurring for years on this. So if we don't see progress on that soon, we'll have to start a meeting confirm process, which you guys will get pretty familiar with.
Got to know those 3 words pretty quick here.
Your second part was, will there be another audit? We will go in and confirm that our recommendations are implemented. We don't just take over for it. We will verify if we can implement it. So it may be reviewing a sample, it may be doing a second audit, but we will confirm beyond just taking their word for it.
Great question. And I forgot the batting order, so it's going to defer to you.
Commissioner Hayes.
I have 3 suggestions for you. First is to take a careful look at how the Internal Affairs reviews and evaluates claims of discrimination, specifically their non-biased policing policy. I've been on the CPP and its predecessor organization, CRB, for over 50 years, and during those years, I've only seen one case that was sustained by the department for violation of that policy. They basically ask the officers to treat this person differently because of their race, and if they say no, then it's either run down or not to stay. So I would encourage you to take a look at those and compare it to how other departments review discrimination. The second is informals. Hopefully you will talk to many of the people whose complaints were made informal and ask them whether or not that was truly their desire and whether they felt compelled or pressured to do that. And also find out how the department handles their complaint. Because what you tell them is that you want a formal complaint and they make it sound ominous. You have the right representation, it can result in discipline. And a lot of people don't want that, but they do want some type of resolution. And my theory is when they say, no, we don't want it handled formally, nothing much happens. And so to find out what did happen with their informal complaint. And finally, I would encourage you to look at all the complaints that this commission disagreed with IA's findings and find out why they disagreed and whether or not they should disagree. That would be
Did you have any follow-up?
Well, thanks for joining us here and for everything you do. So there's, the audit that we did on the website, there was reasons. So the audit was important for many reasons, but for one, we are, a community that's right on the border with Tijuana. This is the busiest border region in the world. And the fact that there was really no language options for the complaint site up until just recently, we just allowed the translation to even be part of the process for intake for these complaints. They just opened it up to the blind community, to that community, by changing these little things on the website to allow for that. They just updated 250 words was the max. They updated it to go past that. now. So you can actually tell your story in this complete form. That was never the case before. So up until that point, you're going to see a lot of data that looks completely different, right? And so I'm curious to know if we now are going to see more complaints in different languages, not just Spanish. There was a Spanish complaint form, but we have multiple communities in San Diego. So I would really love to see the language portion touched on. In 2014, SDPD actually adopted a procedure 1.47. It's limited English speakers is the policy. And they did that in response to the Department of Justice findings of raised concerns about equitable service to limited English proficiency individuals. And so there's one thing that they should have done a long time ago. It's designate a language access liaison officer. During the policy in 2014, they have never done that. They're also supposed to do a report yearly, annually that's public, and multiple ones that are internal. Never happened. It's never happened in the history of this policy. So when we look at is there equity, is there fairness, we look at these issues that, this policy has been made a decade ago. It has never been implemented. You look at the access of, the ability for me to access the website on my phone. You could never submit a complaint on your phone up until recently. So these things are important and we need to highlight them, but we also need to collect the data that's now coming out after the fact.
Commissioner, can I ask a follow-up question? Something that you said, you mentioned language accessibility issues, and then also for hearing and vision impaired. And you mentioned the change that was done. They hadn't been able to receive those until a certain date. I missed that part.
So we just conducted an audit of their website as well as a report that came out just, I think it was a month ago, 2 months ago. And the SDPD responded within 2 weeks, changed the entire website. Yeah, because it wasn't possible before. And so that's I forget exactly when that happened.
There's some big trouble with conflating it with something not in the report. You got to think of the information.
All right, Commissioner Momat.
So I'm gonna ask some questions and it's not your purview, I apologize, it's just my naivete, okay? So, it sounds like you know about the memo we sent to the PD and then you've seen their response to us, right? I'm wondering if there's things in there that remain unresolved that you can look into to help us out. Just an idea. I don't know if that's part of if that would fall under anything that you're already looking at. I can't even remember what those things are off the top of my head. That would be one idea.
Sure. Yes, and yeah, we're aware of your report. Our intent is to build on your report.
Okay.
Look at a lot of different areas. You look at certain areas such as the informal complaints that we have access to. You guys want to expand on?
I know you have several questions. I'm trying to say we can kind of double down on recommendations as well. So we might say the CPP recently recommended this, and we also are recommending that. So that's not to duplicate your work. It's because our process and our follow-up process is a little bit different from y'all's, and so it might be collaborative in that way. That we would say you guys come to this finding, you separately and independently came to this finding and recommendation. Okay, and then some other specific ideas I had would be to look at how often internal affairs looks at de-escalation in use of force, or do they just look at the use of force in itself? How much they really dig into de-escalation? And kind of along those lines, I don't know how you can do this, like the culture of the department, is it looking at cases and how can we do better next time? Or is it only focused on, is this in policy or not, discipline or not? I think that there might be some missed opportunities. I don't know if you guys can look into that or not. And then, I was thinking our
our investigators that help us with our case review process. I think their perspective would be really helpful too. Maybe they're already on your list of folks to meet with, because they remember everything in the aggregate better than I do as a commissioner. So I would appreciate their input in the process.
Sure. No, thanks for that. We're kind of in information gathering mode, so this is all really helpful. We have met with Art already, and
And one last request. I do believe your presentation, you say you'll be happy to share things with us when you're done. I would love to have you come back to us and do a presentation at that time. You can work it out. I'll be on the mission by then. I hope you
can do public comment. Yeah, happy to do that.
All right, Commissioner Robinson.
Sorry, if I could just put it up real quick. The last slide of our PowerPoint has our website, contact information. One of the things you can do, you may already be receiving these, but one of the things you can do is on our website, put in your email address to get all of our reports.
Okay, I want to definitely agree with Commissioner Case on looking over the cases that we've already investigated and doing a comparison and seeing the things that we disagree with. And then also in the complaints where an officer can, I'll just start over. My issue is lack of accountability. Most cases, I don't see any accountability on the complaints. And if the investigator brings it up, that there was an issue, the officer simply gets to explain it away. And there's also, I have not seen any punishment to things that in the policy there is punishment. But it seems that that is a style of leadership to not give any discipline. Because it's going to have a negative effect on the officer. And so I think that's a major issue. Also, that's the word. And de-escalation, especially with canines, in many cases, it seemed to escalate instead of de-escalate. And just knowing the history of canines, it really doesn't need to be a part of de-escalation or a part of any human contact. So that's a major issue with me. Anything right now, but I'll probably keep going, but that'll be yours. And definitely just medical, just lack of response. So there's a lot of complaints on just different things. I'm looking at just the overall, just really needing support with accountability. It seems that
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Commissioner, pronounce your name for me again, sir. Sainer.
Thank you for coming and doing this presentation this evening. You had thrown out some metrics, just kind of overview. On the slide, there was one that said up to 40% of calls don't have their body cams turned on. But the metric that was given, not on the slide, was anywhere from 15 to 20%. And I'm curious, how do you arrive at your metrics? Why is there such a large nexus? And how do you intend to tighten those down? And what is your standard deviation when it comes to pulling together your stats?
By nexus, you mean like, why is there such a large
15 to 40%. It's a very large range.
It's because of the limitations of data. So it's, obviously the ideal number is 0, so you're right, it's not good.
Thanks for the question. As an auditor, I love these detailed methodology questions. So what we did was there's a database of body-worn camera videos, right? And then there's a database of dispatched calls. And so we matched if an officer is dispatched to a call that was an enforcement encounter, did they have a video, right? The problem is when they're logging their videos, they can put typos in, like what the event was and everything. And so to correct for that, we looked at if this officer was dispatched, did they have a video within an hour or two of the event at all? So we had a pretty broad window. And so that's the floor, is the 15%. They didn't have any video within hours of the event, regardless of what it was titled. We think the 40% is much closer to accurate because it was a smaller window of typos. So odds are they didn't have a video 40% of the time, but we did have to give that, like potentially there was substantial typo issues, potentially there was substantial, they got there 2 hours beforehand somehow. You know, there were some issues with matching up the database. So that's why there's a big 15 to 40%, but instead the goal is 0. So we were able to make the recommendation regardless. So we think it's closer to 40%, and we kind of talked about that in our report.
Commissioner Diaz.
Yeah, I wanted to ask the question, when you do your audits, do you look into the conflict of interest in the department, especially when it relates to internal affairs?
That is kind of, again, we're kind of information gathering mode, but early on, that is something that's on our radar. How the staffing is set, that information.
Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you so very much. Looks like you might have a couple more words you want to say before we go.
I'm good. I just wanted to thank everybody for comments and questions. Again, we'll put the information up there. If you need to get a hold of us, we'd love to talk to you. This is a rough kind of meeting for us because normally all we want to do is talk about our audits because of where we are in the process. Be close is due to government auditing standards, but we will look forward to going back and really appreciate the time tonight.
Thank you. And again, for the public, these slides are available in the agenda that is published on our website, along with this information on how to contact them. So we hope you will see that, use that, and take advantage of it. All right. Next item on our agenda is we will share with you in some detail and as thoroughly as we can the time we have the complaint and case process for the Commission on Police Practices. So you can submit a complaint to the police department, or you can submit a complaint to us. We're going to share with you tonight how that process works with the Commission on Police Practices. And we have our Chief Investigator, Olga Kolob, who is going to lead that discussion or presentation.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So the goal of this presentation is, again, to give you a high-level overview of the life of the complaint or case, if you will, from beginning to the end as far as the Commission is concerned. It has two parts to it. First is about complaint process. Our complaint coordinator, Jenny McFarland, is responsible for this, so she will take any questions on that piece, although I will present it. And the second half is high-level overview of the case review process. And this presentation was prepared both by complaint coordinator McFarland, myself, and also Executive Assistant Lena Conde. Get to the next slide, please. So how complaints can be filed with the CPP? There are different ways to do so. Community members can do that online through our complaint form. It is linked to this slide. It has recently been updated thanks to the efforts of the outreach committee and our community engagement coordinator. Complaints can also be filed directly through the CPP email, through phone number, by calling OCPP. Also, community members can come into the CPP office. We've been encouraged to make an appointment, but also complaints can be filed in person at CPP meetings or any other community events. And of course, written correspondence can be sent to the OCPP office. Next slide, please. So what happens once the office receives the complaint? The complaint coordinator assesses the complaint for jurisdiction. First and foremost, we want to make sure this is something that can be forwarded to SCPD and primarily internal affairs. complaints have to fall under, or the allegations in the complaint rather have to fall within those categories listed there, which are arrest, criminal conduct, courtesy, detention, discrimination, force, policy, procedure, service search, slur, or other. For example, of course, there can be complaints that are filed against the department in general or about other issues within the department. So, for example, complaints like helicopter complaints are forwarded to fraud, waste, and abuse hotline. But the statutory complaints are actually forwarded to internal affairs, and I guess they distribute that internally within the department. One of the things the complaint coordinator looks at also when evaluating whether the complaint is within SDPD's jurisdiction is the incident location, although also that may not be the main indicator of whether that's within SDPD jurisdiction or not, and of course, personnel involved, that would be the primary indicator. And complaint coordinator can do so by checking internal databases of the city to make sure the officers are employees of the SDPD. Next slide, please. So once the complaint is determined to be within the SDPD's implementally IA jurisdiction, complaint coordinator sends a complaint letter to the complainant along with the original complaint. The letter explains that it will be forwarded to IA and what the next steps are, and also the complaint letters have been recently updated with input from internal affairs, and you have some templates for you to review along with the materials distributed to the commissioners. And then the complaint is forwarded to internal affairs with any supporting documents. Next slide, please. If the complaint is out of jurisdiction, also a letter is still issued to the complainant, an out of jurisdiction letter, which also has recently been updated. You should have it in your materials. The original complaint and the letter is sent to the complainant with the information about the appropriate agency about which the complaint is filed. For example, if it's about San Diego Sheriff's Office, Chula Vista Police Department, etc. Also, if OCDP staff is aware of how to file or forward that complaint to the appropriate agency, we will do so. And also a caveat, let me get back to the next slide, please.
Did I go too far?
The outreach committee is currently working on adding links to other common agencies about which the OCDP can receive complaints. Next slide, please. Then the complaint coordinator, once the complaint is processed, she will enter the following information in the SharePoint, which is a city database utilized by multiple departments, but as far as OCDP is concerned, it's used to track complaint data, and the following information is input there. CPP complaint number, complainant name, calendar year when the complaint was received, date the complaint was received, whether it came through CPP or IA case number if available, also whether the complaint was categorized as category 1 to miscellaneous, and we'll get to that in a bit. Summary of the complaint and what is the status. And complaint coordinator continuously updates this database once more information is received about the complaint. Also, OCPP receives monthly updates from internal affairs by the executive spreadsheet that outlines the current status of each complaint. It lists whether it's active, whether it is category 1 or 2, whether it has been closed, whether it has been categorized as duplicate or miscellaneous. And based on that information, complaint coordinator updates that SharePoint database mentioned earlier. Also, sometimes complainants reach out to OCPP directly to follow up on the status of their complaint. In that case, OCPP staff reaches out to the internal affairs liaison. The information that OCPP staff can give to complainants is really limited once I has that investigation. It pretty much will be the case number, what is the complaint is actively being worked on, And if there was a conclusion letter sent out to complainants and if they haven't received it, OCPP staff can share when that letter has been sent out. And more detailed information, complainants are referred for that to the internal affairs. So this is, as far as the complaint process is concerned, we can go back to next slide. So IA does the investigation, assuming it falls within the next categories that I will go over. But before that, sorry, they, once they get that complaint, let me backtrack, they assess that for their jurisdiction, of course, just to make sure this is something they can investigate. If it is within their jurisdiction, as been mentioned today, complaint can be eligible for informal or formal investigation. Complaints that are resolved informally currently are not shared with the CPP. But formal complaints that are categorized as category 1 or 2 will be forwarded to the CPP once internal affairs investigation is concluded. And also, I automatically initiate their own investigations into officer-involved shooting, incidents, in custody deaths, and deaths resulting from interaction with a police officer, which then also will be forwarded to the CPP for review. Next slide, please. And again, those are the 2 major categories that are reviewed by the CPP. The allegation, category 1 allegations are arrests, which include improper detention, criminal conduct, discrimination, forced blur, and search. Some more serious allegations. And category 2 complaints include service, courtesy, procedure, conduct, and other. Other is a catch-all category that have a variety of allegations. We did mention miscellaneous complaints a few times today. So definition of miscellaneous complaint is a complaint where no allegation is specified, or no CPD member is specified, or the complaint is questioning police procedure. So miscellaneous is a finding that is made by a, can be done once they do their preliminary investigation, once they look into the case more. If they make that finding, they will post the case as miscellaneous and send a conclusion letter to complainant. The reason why we mention these is because CPP currently does not receive miscellaneous complaints. Next slide, please. Also, duplicate complaints. So sometimes people can file the same complaint, or multiple people can file complaints about the same incident. If it is the same person who files a complaint about the same incident, I will classify that as duplicate and will not contact that person. However, if the complaint is filed by multiple individuals, they will reach out to that person, to multiple individuals, to let them know the complaint was closed as a duplicate. So once I conduct their investigation, the findings of their investigation are as follows. So an allegation can be sustained, which means the department found that the member committed part or all of the alleged acts, and they were not within policy or law. A complaint or an allegation can be not sustained, which means there was really not enough evidence to prove or disprove the allegation happened. Exonerated means that the investigation determined that the conduct of the officer was lawful and within policy. Unfounded means that the alleged act did not occur. And also, if I, during their investigation, uncover other misconduct that was not alleged by complainants, they can make other finding basically on anything, and mostly policy procedure. And typically that will be a sustained finding. Go to the next slide. So for OIS, the officer-involved shooting, and ICD in custody death cases, the conclusion from the investigation has a different recommendation. It can be either within policy or not within policy. So yeah, so once I complete their investigation, they're ready, goes through their multiple internal review steps and processes. And as long as it falls within the category 1 to OAS ICD cases, then they're forwarded to the CPP for review. what is case review? What is the commission focused on when the commission reviews the cases? It's a holistic and whole review of the entire IA investigation to make sure it is complete, thorough, impartial, to make sure the finding is appropriate and the commission comes to a conclusion and votes on a case. So high-level overview of the current case review process. The CPT investigator assigns the case, reviews the case, and drafts a report. It is reviewed by myself, next by PTAB. Then it is shared with assigned commissioners. So current commissioners who volunteer to do case reviews are split in 3 groups, and each group of commissioners is assigned a specific case. So once the report is ready, the investigator alerts the commissioners that the case is ready for their review. Prior to that, assigned commissioners review the entire IA case file on their own time. So all the evidence, all the documents, a report, delinquency footage, etc. Commissioners provide feedback to the investigator. There are multiple ways to do so. They can do that in person, by phone, email, scheduling a video call. Any other convenient thing for commissioner. Go to the next slide. So once commissioners, and then they can also make notes in the shared group document and the report. So once commissioner feedback is collected, investigator finalizes the report. Commissioners who reviewed the assigned commissioners from the group, they endorse the report. And then investigator identifies relevant video footage to be shared with the entire commission in the closed session. Once the case is ready, it is presented to the entire commission by the investigator. Assigned commissioners also have an opportunity to comment. If there was a dissent or disagreement within the group, that commissioner can also discuss what they wanted to note. And the case is deliberated by the entire commission in closed session and voted on whether to agree or disagree with the group's recommendation of their review of the case. Caveat to that, the commission has established an ad hoc case review committee that has developed some proposed changes to the current case review process, which will be presented to the commission for vote at a later date, so this process may change. So once the group reviews the case, before it goes to the commission, it has the following 3 recommendations for the commission: to agree with any finding, meaning the group agrees, agree with comment. So generally the group agrees with the finding, but they have other substantial material notes or comments for internal affairs, or disagree with comment, meaning the group thinks that there was supposed to be a different finding, but for example, it was exonerated, the group thinks it should have been sustained. So then in that case, the group explains the reason for disagreement and what the finding they think should have been. Also, apart from recommendation as to the actual allegation, the group can also note other concerns and observations about the incident itself that is not germane or pertain specifically to the allegation. It can be different observations, for example, policy procedure violations, things that were not investigated that the group recommends should have been investigated, recommendations to the department about the incident, about other aspects of it, recommendation for the commission policy committee or any other committee to take a look at certain aspects of the case, observations of recurrent patterns, or suggestions on handling similar investigations in the future. And once the commission votes, so the commission can agree, for example, with the group's recommendation, they can vote to disagree and that should have been a different finding, or they can vote to return the case back to the group for further review, or perhaps ask IA to take another look at certain things. But once that process is finalized, the chair of the commission works with the point coordinator on reviewing and drafting a conclusion letter that is shared with the complainant, informing them of the outcome of the CPP's review. However, conclusion letters are not sent to 4 officer-involved shooting cases and custody deaths and deaths resulting from interaction with a police officer because there is no complainant in that case, which is an automatically initiated investigation by internal affairs. And I believe that concludes the presentation. Thank you for your time, and myself and coordinator are happy to take any questions.
And as per standard protocol, we will take public comments at this time.
Thank you, Chair. We have 2 public comment in person. Ms. Francine Maxwell, you have 3 minutes. Oh, Ms. Sasha Williamson, you have 3 minutes.
So I want to say that, one, thank you all for reviewing these investigations and doing it thoroughly. The amount of time that you use to do this, thank you for your time. You all have been amazing at sending initial letters. SCPD has not. You all have been amazing at sending conclusion letters. SCPD has not. You all have been amazing if there are questions or concerns, making sure that people follow up. SCPD has not. So I want to just say thank you. Thank you for that. I do have a couple of things that I do want to discuss. Because I have, I have actually sent information in regards to officer-involved shootings complaints. I have sent information to both you, CPP, as well as FCPD. And I have not received information back on those. And so I was told that SCPD has disregarded the complaint altogether because I wasn't a part of it, I'm a third party. So these are things that are being said, but I have no way of knowing because I don't necessarily receive anything from you all, and I don't also receive anything from SCPD concerning when internal affairs initiates the investigation. And so those things are concerning. It should be made public. I also want you all to consider that you are an independent body and that you should have on your website things that are supposed to be and mandated to be made public because you do review investigation and they should be made public if they meet the criteria of law that make them public and mandate them to be public. You should not be dependent on SCPD to then forward them your review of their investigation to make that public. So please, please remain independent because they are very correct.
Thank you, Tasha. Ms. Francine Maxwell, you have 3 minutes.
Francine Maxwell, thank you for the presentation. I think that this was not a high level. It's very appreciative, but would have been high level was to give us the trends, to give us the stats of what has been occurring for 24 to 25 fiscal year. I have been a third party complainant and I have not received anything. I received an interview, absolutely, in IA, but then it goes radio silent. And so although I enjoyed the person that interviewed me, they were professional. Of course, I don't remember names well, but the process of them calling absolutely happens, sets up the time that is convenient for the public member is wonderful, but the radio silence is not. It boasts that the process is not being correctly done and administered. And that's where we continue to not be able to build the bridge of trust that we are trying to build. Again, we want everyone to make it home safely. We believe and support our first responders, but accountability is not the enemy. And people have to be held accountable for not following what we continue to repeat and encourage the community to come forth and file these complaints. So some way, somehow, you need to ask the police department why you don't call, why you pick and choose to send papers and things. Again, appreciative of those that look at the entire file and request items that the police are not forthcoming giving to you, and they're putting you on hold. That needs to be documented so that when our auditor sees how many times you are being told that you can't see this and you can't see that, and they are kicking the can, our auditor can make a recommendation. Yes, it's independent, it goes to the audit committee, but just us being able to keep our receipts. We are building receipts against SDPD, and that's what we continue to do. We appreciate working alongside the CPP, pushing you up. You know, just again, thank you so much for your time that you spend away from your family. It's very much appreciated, and we celebrate you in the community.
Okay. Thank you. This concludes our in-person public comment. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand now using the raise hand feature on the Teams. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak, please raise your hand using the raise hand feature on the Teams. We'll give a few more seconds. This concludes public comment on this item. Thank you, Chair.
Before we go to commissioner comments, there were a couple of items brought up. This is an agenda item. Is there staff who want to respond to some of the? Yes, see, oh, came back to life. Let's see how long it lives. Is there staff who would like to respond to at least the two things that I heard were the dearth of communication once the complaint moves to a certain space, and when, how, and where we will share data on the information that we're receiving, the work that we're doing.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on two things. The first one, we'll take under consideration, coming back to the commission. The process we should have to give more information. The other thing I heard was with the providing the mandated disclosure. I want the public to know and the commission to know that myself and Olga and the investigative team have been working on that. We are almost finished and getting ready to publish those mandated disclosures. You'll see that relatively quickly. And the other point that I wanted to make in reference, I think, was to Francine about whether or not we're keeping data on things like when we ask for documents and we don't get them right away. Other problems that we're having, we started to keep data on that recently, so we've been doing that for a couple of months now, and to build up that database so that people like city auditors can see the problems we're having with the process.
Okay, are there comments and questions from commissioners? Let's start with Commissioner Torres, Commissioner Momat, and Commissioner Case.
Thank you for the detailed slides. It's very detailed, I'd say. It's more than high level, so appreciate it. One question I do have is with regards to each step and just in general, do we have an estimated timeline of completion from step one to the very last step? And in between, from the moment somebody submits a complaint to when it goes through the steps, and how many days, what year does that take?
Thank you for this question. It is a good question. So we do keep track of different stages, and some of it will be eventually released in the semi-annual reports or case reviews are concerned. But it is really different for each case. One major deadline that everybody has to follow in internal affairs and the CPP is that 1 year statute of limitation. So all of that has to be completed within 1 year. From the beginning, once the complaint comes through CPP or internal affairs, they complete their internal investigation. It is forwarded to CPP for review. But for the commitment, it actually follows or tries to do that even before that 1 year statute of limitation, because if an investigation has a sustained allegation, it needs to go through the disciplinary process. And the department typically asks for at least 90 days prior to the 1 year statute of limitation expiration. So we keep track of those deadlines and we try to make sure that the case gets to the commission way before then. But it can really vary. Typically, category 2 complaints are investigated quicker and get to the commission quicker versus category 1 complaints. They can take longer. Sometimes investigations can be told for various reasons, so the clock on investigation is paused, but it really is vary. I believe that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. And one suggestion I might make to the policy committee is to come up with an SLA that we can be agreeable with the SDPD on a time frame that we can provide at one of these reports, whether in category 1 or 2 to be completed.
Thank you for that presentation. 2 little logistical questions I have, and didn't 100% hear what you said at the beginning, so maybe you already asked this, and I apologize. The ability to file complaints on our website. I believe we had accessibility issues like similar to the PD. Have all of those been rectified? Now are we in compliance?
Disconnected. Is it on?
Our complaint form now matches all the compliance that DPD is up to date with. We made a few additional changes from what SDPD has, but it matches when it comes to the compliance.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. I'm sure everybody was working on it, but I never heard that part. And then my last question, it's probably weird. I'm going to ask it anyway. When we have officer-involved shootings or in custody deaths or anything like that, and the family has reached out to us in some way, even though we don't do a conclusion letter, like, I feel like we need to do something. And can we or do we? And what do we do in that situation?
But actually, your last bullet isn't correct. Sometimes we do get complaints, and when I was chair, we developed a letter that goes to the complainant to discuss the death. The case in question was the Armin case, and you heard that they had some comments regarding the letter we sent to them. But if we do get a complaint in an custody after officer involved shooting, then we do send a letter to the complainant. I don't think it's part of this.
Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, we will thank you again for your presentation and report. Very thorough, very excellent. Thank you. And we will move on to the next item. Let me make sure I'm in order here. Next item on our agenda. Next item on our agenda, new business, item number 7. I need to correct or explain. It's an approval of new bylaws. The word approval probably shouldn't be in there because the statutory requirement of the bylaws is that you must have had in your possession at least 10 days prior to any vote on any changes. And since these just came out on Friday, that 10-day rule has not been met. So there will be no vote at all on these bylaws. There will just be a presentation of the changes that are being made, brief presentation, You have the new bylaws in their entirety, you have them with the changes, and we will have to wait till the next general meeting to have the discussion and vote on these bylaws.
Hearing about bylaws sounds very exciting, but it is important to our commission to have good bylaws. And the question that I think I would be interested in is, what are bylaws and how do they fit really with what we do? So I'm here to report to you just very briefly, as Clovis said, who could not be here tonight. So this city charter, which is sort of constitution, if you will, for our city, and then which gives us the broad strokes, and then below that we have the municipal code, which goes into more details, and which created our commission really, the action of the voters. And then we have bylaws, which really get into the details of how does our commission operate. When do we meet? How do commissioners become commissioners? How do they leave the commission? How do we vote? What's the difference between a general business meeting and a special meeting? What is closed session? Why do we handle some items only in closed session? All of those topics are addressed in bylaws. I joined this committee in February of this year. Bonnie has done a very able job of leading it with the goal of taking our bylaws and doing, as I've perceived it, three things. Number one, simplifying them. Number two, eliminating ambiguities. There were some ambiguous clauses in our bylaws, things that weren't clear. And number three, trying to bring the bylaws into harmony with the municipal code, where here and there might be an inconsistency. A lot of the hard work on our committee really has been done by Alec Byer, right over there. And so I really want to thank him for, really doing a yeoman-like job of going through every jot and tittle of these bylaws and trying to overhaul them. As Clovis said, you all have a copy of a red line version of the bylaws. Bonnie suggested that I highlight certain parts of the red line document for you. I'm not going to do that tonight because I just think it's not necessary. Everybody can read them on their own. If they're interested in doing that, it's not going to come to a vote tonight anyway, so this is strictly informational. But if anybody's taking notes or cares, Bonnie thinks that the parts of bylaws that are deserving of attention are in Article 3, that's Roman 3, Sections 2 and 3, Article 4, Sections 2 and 3 again, Article 5, Section 4, and Article 6, Section 2. Bart Miespel, our able interim executive director and general counsel, also has done a fair amount of work on these bylaws, and he gave our committee a memo, which I have, which focuses principally really on the Brown Act. Brown Act, of course, being the state law that requires meetings like this one to be held in sunlight, sunlight being the best disinfectant, so that the public can see exactly what we're doing and why, and participate in it like they are tonight. So Bart's comments as embodied in his memo have been very constructive and practical, and we will be adopting them. I think the work of completing these bylaws is going to be done very soon, and by very soon I mean by the end of this quarter. So unless there are questions for me, that would conclude my remarks. Yeah.
Before we go to commissioners, Commissioner Case, Commissioner Holman, and Commissioner Robinson. Right, because this is actually an agendized item, and it's not under number 4, not under the item, it is an agendized item because we don't have the 10 days, we cannot take action on it. But we do want to invite public comment on the bylaws on this item, if public so chooses.
We have, thank you, Chair. We have no in-person public comment on this.
What did you not see?
because you did not do the as a clear presentation. Can you see that?
Well, but, yeah, I got you. We're hoping that, because it's in the agenda and the packet, that everybody will have an opportunity to have extensive comments when we actually do it. But we do have public comments, so we can do that properly.
We have one in-person public comment. Tasha, you have 3 minutes.
Oh, sorry, 1 second, 1 second.
I just want to say, hey, when an audit done of why he feels like the stepchildren of the city. Because your audio, your visual, it's like nothing compared to what we get at the city level. You guys are a organization that is a separate entity of the city. But the city is supposed to take care of this for you, and they are not. And it is very difficult for year after year for us to come here and also take our time to not be able to move along with you all, especially when you're going over something like bylaws. You are an attorney. I know you delved into this and you did what you needed to do. We should be able to go alongside you and see what you're, sometimes people are visual, and be able to read what you're saying and all of that, because it's important. You want us here. So something needs to happen, something needs to give. You guys need to have legitimate equipment.
Thank you. This concludes in-person public comment on this item. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak, please raise your hand now. Again, if you're joining us virtually and would like to speak on this item, please go ahead and raise your hand using the raise hand feature on the Zoom. This concludes public comment on this item. Thank you, Chair.
I wanted to briefly respond to the public comment about the audio visual problems here. I want the public to know and the commission to know. Really, one of the first things I did when I took over as the interim executive director is trying to attack this problem. It is just unacceptable that we can't have audio visual. The fact that we have to hand microphones around that don't work, we don't have good camera, don't have a good production is just not acceptable. Our departments told us that we cannot contract with an audiovisual vendor that we had used before. That was not acceptable, and that we would have to go through the meet and confer process with the unions at San Diego. So I am in meet and confer and have been in meet and confer on audiovisual contracts. That process is long, so we also try to go to the city's communications department and say, look, we need to have community input and communications. This commission and this board is different than any other commission or board on the city. It thrives on the community and their ability to speak to the meetings, see the meetings, hear the meetings. Communications department said, we don't have the ability to provide audio for your meetings. And the response to us was, along with the city attorney's office, well, you know, the Brown Act doesn't require you to stream or have it online. It can be an in-person meeting, and that's not acceptable. So I wanted you to know that we have been working on this, and it's just iconic of problems we face with this commission getting things done with the city. So I'm not giving up. I think we're getting closer to actually getting it done in the long-term plan. Get a 2-3 year contract with a professional audio visual company that will come in with professional equipment, have trained technicians, and microphones that work. But I have to apologize on behalf of the commission and the city. Like, this is what we have.
And
I'm trying to do something.
I know we can't go back and forth, but I'm telling you guys that you probably got about another 6 to 7 months before a lawsuit is lodged against the city. Because every department should have what they need, especially dealing with the community. And if I can't call in, I gotta come, and that's taken away from my time with my family, where I can be with my family and be on a call with you all, that's a problem. If I can't see because I wear glasses, like, that's a problem. So if a lawsuit needs to happen for the people to get what they're supposed to have, then that's what we'll push. And it's not for any of you all. It's just, this is where we are. We're at a place where you guys are stepchildren in a city. And you're supposed to be independent, have your own stuff, and it's frustrating for the people. And people don't show up because you look low class. They don't take you serious. And it's not you all personally. It's the way it's run.
Thank you. Are there any comments on the presentation on the bylaws from the commissioners?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we have a list. Let me get my list. I have the case.
Well, just to comment that the bylaws were included with the PDF that was emailed out to the community. It's on our website. So even though the version that was passed out tonight doesn't include them because they're so long, if you go to our website or if you get emails from the commission, the entire bylaws, both the clean version and the strike through version are available for you to look at. I also serve on the rules committee. I wanted to point out one significant change. That is the leadership being proposed. That's the leadership structure of the commission. The new bylaws will say do away with the concept of the cabinet. We'll find the word cabinet in the bylaws, in the new bylaws. And 3 offices are being replaced by a chair and 4 vice chairs, whose duties are explained in the bylaws. And the executive committee is being replaced by the chair and 4 vice chairs. There will be an executive committee, but the executive committee will be the elected officers, and there'll be no longer be a cabinet. That'll be a key change for you to be familiar with as you go through the bylaws. Commissioner Robbins.
I would like to make a motion to have a discussion about adding about travel. I had a major issue with travel. TRAVEL. I'd like to have it added to the bylaws in some way so that there's clarity with travel. I am currently in the hole $1,359 due to, I don't even know. Travel. I wouldn't even be here. I would not have been able to go. Hello, okay. I would not have even been able to go to the conference if I wasn't able to go. As policy chair, it was very important for me to be there. I was not covered for the forum that happened on Sunday. That was very important for me to attend that as policy chair. Also, there are commissioners that don't even believe we should even go to NACO. And those are probably the main commissioners that need to go. I would like it to be an open discussion because we have the budget for it. And hopefully I don't have to fight for my way next year to go. I would like to open it for a discussion. I would like to put it on the agenda. So I'm motioning for an open discussion about this at whenever we discuss the bylaws at another day.
Okay, so these bylaws will come back to an open general meeting for full discussion.
But it's open for a vote.
And at
Correct.
that time, you can make any amendments to the bylaws that you want to propose. to the bylaws.
Okay, that's fair.
And if there was something you want to put in, then you can make a motion to add that. I would strongly recommend that you have a conversation with the rules committee on how to structure that, so that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what you would.
Because I had a discussion already and there was no discussion allowed.
Okay, well then, again, when it comes to this commission, you will have the opportunity to make that motion, have a second, have that discussion. Vote on. Commissioner Moore.
Thank you. I have like little picky questions and, some of them are like little formatting things that I think I can just probably send to, who would I send them to? Okay, all right, I can do that. And then I had, my non-formatting questions. Let me look what it is. So in the language of the, just a clarification question before you send the ones that we're gonna vote on. It says, when it talks about case review, it says commissioners shall be assigned. So my question is, that's a requirement for commissioners to do, is that what that means? Yes, okay. And then, when it said participating in committees, that's just an expectation, that's not a requirement. Is that true? I'm kind of wondering, like, why is case reviews required, participation on committees is not required. And then it sounds like, participation in community outreach, it says shall participate, and I'm wondering if that is a requirement. I just want to be clear in the bylaws, what's required of us and what's not required of us. And it seems like sometimes things are required and sometimes things aren't. I'm curious about that.
I think that case would be best to address.
Regarding the case review, it was a conscious decision to require that of all commissioners. There was a reason why we had expected to serve on a committee. Not really exactly why it was, but I think there were some circumstances where a person may be involved in some other things and would meet that expectation. So there was a reason that we used the word expectation rather than required, but I don't recall specifically. But now I'm sure Bonnie would, but I don't recall.
Yeah, if you could highlight those areas, we're going to address that again. The deal is this, we don't want to take any commissioners off. We don't want to lose any commissioners. So we say we require you to do this and the commissioner doesn't do it, we're not going to kick them off. So really, it's all expectation. We're hoping people will actively participate. But we probably should alter that mandatory language saying you should, or you're required to do this, required to do that. We want people to participate, and we're not going to set up a punishment if they work on one committee and leave after 6 months. We're going to punish people. So your point is well taken. If we have mandatory language and it's not really mandatory, it shouldn't be mandatory language. It should be the expectation is this or that.
The other thing I wanted to say is I appreciate all the work that's gone into changing these bylaws. And, of course, we're not voting on it today, but I really want to commend the structure that you put in there because I think it makes for a lot more transparency. Because when you have 5 people, 3 people can't be chatting stuff over and without a public forum. So I really appreciate that.
Any other comments from commissioners on the bylaws? Just Ms. Williamson and Ms. Maxwell, I know you're frustrated by not having having this red line displayed in a way that was very user friendly tonight. I understand that. So after tonight's meeting, if you want to, I'd be glad to go over with you the red line and paper copy, which I think you have, and answer any questions that you might have. But I just didn't want to take everybody through page by page of a red line of a document that we are not voting on tonight.
Yeah, so we got some clarification.
All right, thank you. With that, the next item on our agenda is going to be non-agenda public comments, with the idea in mind that we don't want to make the public wait until we come out of closed session, which could be easily an hour from now, to make non-agenda public comment. Again, if you've made non-agenda public comment at the beginning, and you're supposed to do it again, but if you have not had the opportunity to just leave, please put your slip in with Ms. Olivet and do non-agenda public comment before we go into closed session. Closed session separate. We ain't there yet. We ain't there yet. Still not in the public comment. We have to go to the virtual folks before we in that part.
Thank you, Chair. For folks who did not capture that, we are currently going into non-agenda public comment. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak on non-agenda public comment, please raise your hand now using the raise hand feature. We'll first take in-person non-agenda public comment, then we'll go to our virtual participants. Our first speaker is Sasha Williamson. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, so, my, non-agenda public comment is, as Ms. Maxwell said, Stephanie Cockrell, Officer Cockrell, who is now suing the department and the city, has court tomorrow. In this court hearing, we're gonna determine, if she passes her psych evaluation to get her gun back. I really have consistently come to you all saying that Chief Wall needs to step down. Chief Wall absolutely needs to step down. He is a liability to this department. He is a liability to the city. There are potentially five legal actions that are coming against this department and this city that this city will settle. From law enforcement officers who have been wronged. And the leadership continues from Zimmerman to Midlight to now Wall. And it's outlandish that I have asked for his expenditures, which there should be an audit for. Why is he spending money on a luxury bedroom set for an office at Murphy Canyon? Why do he need a built-in kitchenette? What is this for? Why are 2 vehicles being purchased, luxury vehicles being purchased, that he now does not use? He absolutely needs to step down. The corruption within San Diego Police Department needs to be reviewed, not by CPP, but by the Department of Justice. It is outlandish, the amount of corruption that we have had to deal with to even need you all to review their cases. And then you all don't even get all the case information, as we were told by the chair in another meeting. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. You are our people. You are leaders who stood up and said, we are going to stand here for this cause, and we are going to do what needs to be done. And you need to be treated as such by this city and by this police department. You cannot be treated that way when you have a leader who is as corrupt as Chief Wall. I know he looks shiny like a diamond. I know he speaks well, but he is corrupt. And he needs to step down immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes our non-agenda public comment in person. We're moving on to our virtual participants. First speaker, Yusuf Miller. I'm going to go ahead and allow you to unmute. Please unmute.
Hello, this is Yusuf Miller, North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving Lives in Custody. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you may proceed.
Okay. Yes, this is Yusuf.
Start the time, please.
Okay. This is Yusef Miller, North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving Lives in Custody, California. And I want to bring up again the topic of delivering your closed cases to the department so that the department of in custody deaths, so that the department can forward them to the post commission. The post commission is not receiving timely submissions from San Diego County. It's one of the things that I think as the CPP, it should be on your radar. It shouldn't be something outside the boundaries of your complaints, because then the complaints reach to the aspect of, are these complaints now going out of the police department to the post commission? I think it would be very wise, as I've said before, for us to invite the post commission to the CPP and give the community a presentation. They come to San Diego County twice a year, and I attend those twice a year. I would love to attend one of those here at the CPP, or a third one maybe here at the CPP, where people can ask their questions to this board. I think the community would be very interested to know what happens once the complaints leave your jurisdiction, leave the city, and go out to the state's commission on police practices. I'm sorry, on the post commission. So police officers and standards and training. So this is something that's really hurting us, because as I go to, and myself, Sister Tasha Williamson and others, as we go to the post and we bring up issues in San Diego County and they don't know what we're talking about, and we're supporting families at the post commission, they have no idea what we're talking about. Where are these complaints? Where are these in custody death files and records? If they're not leaving San Diego City, then you need to know why. You need to know from any of the cities that is under your jurisdiction for CPP, you need to know why these complaints or these incidents of in custody deaths are not leaving San Diego County, because that is justice denied, because it's supposed to go to a higher institution. That institution then looks over it and do their final determination whether this person should be disqualified or removed from being a peace officer, having a gun and a badge, and policing our communities. But it's not happening, and we hear that from the source. So please, if it's not now in your ability to have eyes on, you should have eyes on. You should be tracking, and you should have the data on how long it takes for files to get out of San Diego County and when they reach the post commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Our next speaker is Patricia DeArmond. Please unmute.
Okay, hello everybody. So I just wanted to say that I heard the comment about how you guys thrive off the community feedback. I just wanted to say, as a community member, I've been going to you guys for over a year. I went to you guys because I had no other means of trying to get justice for my brother. And it's been a year, still over a year, and still nothing has been done. Do you know how bad I wish I can speak well of you guys and say, look at what they've done for my family. They've been amazing. But the truth is you haven't. And it's very frustrating. And it makes me feel like, why bother? Like, we have ripped our hearts out and bled in front of you guys time and time and time again. And we're still at a standstill. Things still getting delayed, no action being taken. I mean, why waste my breath at this point if you guys have no power? And you call yourselves independent and talk about holding officers accountable, which you've done neither of those things for my family. It's very, very discouraging. And at this point, you know what? Post seems to be the only ones with real power. And I'm tired of wasting my time. And thank you for what you've tried to do, but I haven't seen anything done yet. And, justice for my brother, because we never deserve to go through this. There is no justice. There is no accountability. There is no transparency. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arman. Our next speaker is Darwin Fishman. Please unmute.
Good evening. I decided I did want to talk again. I the what concerns me is what's not being said. And I don't know, maybe you guys are talking about this in private, but I do think this stuff needs to be out in public. And it's just weird to me. I was on, as I keep referencing, the CRB 2016, 2017. On a basic level, a lot of what you're hearing is the same stuff I heard back then, 8 years ago. That obviously is a serious problem. That's why the context matters. The whole point of Measure B, and I'm sorry I improperly referenced that earlier, but Measure B passing in 2020 was to change things around. There were substantial problems with the old CRB. So if that's not put in context, whether you do an audit or anything else, then it doesn't make any sense. If you're listening to what community members are saying, especially what Tasha's saying, that means you've got a fundamental problem because those are the same issues we heard in 2016, 2017, and what she's sharing with you is what community members know and see. It's not like this is hidden. So if you really think you're successful, then you're going to hear it from the community, the feedback. And what you're hearing would be substantially different than what I heard when I was on there in 2016, 2017 on a very basic level. And I think the fact that you just have, for example, Patricia presenting tonight and not more families, not more people sharing their story really suggests a fundamental problem. Because ideally, obviously, what you would want is to hear the issues that we have historically encountered from CRB to CPP and then how they fundamentally have changed and what's been done. And if it is an issue that Measure B is not being implemented properly, then you guys obviously have to be in front of that because no one in the community knows that. All they see is this board, this commission that looks like it's feckless, that it's ineffective, and it's not doing anything. And so if there are real barriers, challenges you guys are encountering, then you have to find some way to communicate that and share that with the community, as well as if you're limited in what you can do, explain, given this is what our limited powers are, this is what we're able to accomplish with what we're able to do. At the end of the day, I think the thing that it's like saying the quiet part out loud. You have to ask who benefits. If the CPP is ineffective and is not doing its job, ultimately who benefits from that? This was a fundamental question we always had about the work that we did with CRB, is that if we can't properly be an independent body investigating these cases, then at the end of the day, there's no checks and balances for the police. There's no civilian oversight. And that needs to be a clear message that you guys make to the public if that's the case, and you're not able to do the job that was granted you in 2020 with Measure B passing, or for whatever your barriers are and clearly communicating them. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes public, non-agenda public comment. Thank you, Jen.
All right, thank you, public, for your non-agenda public comments. We are going to go into closed session. Before we go into closed session, there is an opportunity for the public to comment on closed session as such.
We have one.
Wait.
Thank you, Chair. We have one person, public comment on the closed session. Ms. Tasha Williamson, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you again. I want to just reiterate to you all that you heard post commission several times tonight. Post commission talks about employees, people who are employed by law enforcement departments, talk about a full investigation to the public, in front of the public. It's open and it's online, public, when they violate Senate Bill 2. Honestly, you all should be, I am, because can I find that? No problem. You all must make public any violation of Senate Bill 15, Senate Bill 2, Senate Bill 1420. That must be on your website. Also, I'm going to reiterate that you should be meeting with post commission. You should also be meeting with the civil grand jury. You should know exactly how you can also leverage making sure that the public is safe from the officers who have several complaints against them, who are high risk. That means that they are high risk to us out in the streets. And oftentimes your silence causes more harm to us. So find ways to make sure that the public knows who they need to be watchful of. Find ways to make sure that the police department knows. You know, you've seen several officers have complaints that are sustained. Are they on the high risk status? Because they have none. Matter of fact, 2 officers recently are alleged to have committed suicide in SDP. Who are high risk. And it's radio silence. You don't know, public doesn't know. But we know. When you talk about internal affair investigations, when the police department was here, they made some statement that they change findings based on what you guys said. I would like to have that. I want to see that because I don't believe anything that comes out their mouths. If they have ever changed a finding after you have reviewed it that is different from what theirs was, the public needs to know. Because they said that in front of the public to you all when you all was here. And we should have that back. So please make sure that when the police department comes and makes statements and you guys report them or you take notes on them, that you come back and you update the public. And you show us the proof because you exist because we don't trust them. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes in-person public comment on the closed session. We'll move to virtual participants. If you are joining us virtually and would like to speak on the closed session, please raise your hand now using the raise hand feature. This concludes public comment on this item. Thank you, Chair.
And with that, we will turn it over to our General Counsel, Bart Eastfeld, to read us into closed session.
Okay. The commission will now go into closed session. Without discussion and consideration of complaints and reports pursuant to Government Code Section 5.9.57, discuss complaints, charges, investigations, and discipline involving San Diego Police Department employees. Cases are identified in the agenda under item 8C, A, and B. Now go into closed session.
Thank you for the participation. Good to see you here. We hope to see you again next time.